There, Latasha, thank you. Before today's sentencing, the judge presiding over Holcomb's case issued a gag order preventing anyone involved from speaking or releasing details about the case. 11 Alive investigator Andy Parati got a copy of the judge's order, which some are now criticizing now, Andy.
Yeah, Ron, the judge signed that gag order this past June. 11 Alive only knew about today's hearing because a family friend of the victim contacted us. The White County Clerk of Court told us today because of that gag order, she couldn't even give the case number to us or confirm the hearing was taking place. But this isn't about us. Gag orders are extremely rare and prevent the public from knowing about important issues happening in our criminal justice system. This is also not the first time the court has shielded Holcomb from public scrutiny. In 2005, a judge dismissed 2 DUI charges against Holcomb after the district attorney failed to prosecute the case within the statute of limitations. Holcomb is the son of longtime White County Commissioner Lynn Holcomb. First Amendment attorney Derek Bauer believes the gag order issued in today's case was unconstitutional.
When you're talking about justice being dispensed to family members of elected officials, the public absolutely needs to be able to talk to court personnel, to law enforcement, to prosecutors, to defense counsel, and perhaps to the parties themselves to make sure the public feels comfortable that everybody's getting equal justice.
A few hours ago, the judge lifted the gag order, but only after the trial and today's sentencing. In the newsroom, Andy Parati, 11 Alive News.